Good morning. Hand today is going to be pocket eights. We are under the gun. We open raise and big blind calls. So under the gun range, pretty straightforward. I put together this range for the caller. We have some information. He has called 2-bet from the blinds with King 7 suited, 10-9 suited, Ace Jack off. So I think that's going to probably suggest that he plays all like King X suited. And if he's playing those, he's playing Ace X suited. He's got Ace Jack off, so he's got Ace Queen off. I'm gonna say probably Ace X off down to maybe Ace 5, Ace 6. Uh, I would normally include like Ace 2, Ace 3, Ace 4, but I don't know about that. I mean, we can. Doesn't add a huge. It adds a couple percentage. That's about it. But and then 10-9. So I think we've got suited connectors. We've got suited one gappers. He's getting decent price to call, 2 big blinds already. If we look at his stats, he's played 29% from the big blind, and he's actually called a 2-bet 9 out of 20 times, so 45%. So this kind of fits with a range like that, where he's just going to call 2 bets and see what he flops. So we go to the flop of Jack 8 5. I flopped a set, which is great for us. And I think overall our strategy is probably going to be to check a little bit. Actually, I take that back. It's gonna probably be to bet. You can see we don't have a huge number of hands in our range. We're not going to be over betting. If we over bet, we're not going to have a huge number of weak hands in our range. We're going to have something. So villain checks us, which I think is typical, and then we're going to have to figure out what's going to be our value, what's going to be our bluffing range. Definitely, I think sets are going to be our value range. I think overpair, top pairs are going to be value. And just right there, you can see that's 30% of hands that hit. And that means we're going to have to come up with a minimum of 30, probably like 60%, which means we're basically going to be c-betting this almost 100% of the time. So, flush draw, open enders, gut shots, those are all going to be straights. I think our 2-card backdoor flush draws are probably going to be used as bluffs. Maybe not all of them. Well, yeah, probably all of them. We all have, we've got different combos. And with the Jack and the 8 out there, we have different ways where we can improve our equity on the turn. Basically, any card 9 or higher is going to improve our equity. And that's with those 2-card backdoor flush draws. I think we're betting, bottom pair. We're betting these bottom pair less than the second card. We're doing our middle pair. We're doing pocket pair less than the top card, so like 9s and 10s. And at this point now, we're getting to that point where we've got much better, more bluffs, more semi bluffs than value, but it's looking a whole lot better. We're still not at 100% here. We're at 70%, and perhaps that's kind of what we're looking at. I do think this is going to be one that we bet a lot, because villain's going to have, he's not continuing with a lot, or shouldn't be continuing with a lot. If we look at just top pair plus with our flush open enders, even if we give him the gut shot, he's continuing with 37%. Get rid of those. If we add in these pocket pair less than the top card and middle pair, he's continuing about 50%. So he's still folding 50% of hands at that point. So I just feel like we're going to be c-betting just an awfully lot. We've got all these other overcards to bet here. So that's, I think at this point we're going to be over betting. We can look at his folded c-bet set. So in position, it is 3 out of 7, so 43%. Out of position, he's fold 71%. So you can see he's kind of tight here, and I think we can just kind of take advantage of that and just go ahead and bet everything that we have. I think that's probably the correct play. I didn't, which we're slow playing. I don't know if I like that. sure I was looking to try to maximize value here, but, and especially against 75, but I think these are hands that we have to include with our bet, because if people catch that we slow play these like 8s and jacks and 5s, then when we bet, they're gonna know we don't have those. So I think this was a mistake. I think this was a mistake. So villain has 100% in his range, and then I'm gonna have to guess when we look at, you know, our betting, maybe still playing jack. I just think there's hearts that that could call, straights that could call, potentials. You know, we can get value. We can get value from these hands. So 9 of hearts comes out, and that's just a bad card. That's all I could say. Villain checks. At this point, villain probably still has 100% of his range. I'm kind of at a loss here. I should have bet. I wouldn't have been in this situation. I think he probably would have just folded. And if he doesn't fold, we could easily check behind and then go for a call on the river if we connect. So, you know, let's go back to here. If I was going to be slow playing, we're looking at probably slow playing. Let's change colors. Ace jack. You know, top pair, good kicker. That's kind of the weakest that we're gonna slow play. Maybe slow playing aces and kings. I think queens should be a bet. Slow play jacks. And then we're probably going to have those like 10s and 9s and 9s, 9, 8. Probably those bottom pairs. Or pocket pair less than the second card. Our ace 5's probably going to be a bet. I would like to imagine that it's a bet. I think our flush draw, we don't have flush draw, we don't have straight draw. Probably don't have our gut shot. Probably don't have our overcard. And I think if we do 2-card backdoor flush draw, we X those out. We X our flush draw open enders out. I guess we could have a hand like maybe ace 9, maybe king 10, maybe those, if that. So at least that gives us something if we were going to slow play it at this time. I don't know if I like the slow play. I don't know if I like the slow play. So we checked, or he checked. It's on us now. We have all these hands that we slow played. What do we do now? I think the 9 of hearts was a bad card for us. The heart was, I think, kind of a bad card for us. I don't think we can really bet here, so I kind of feel like we're checking everything. It's just one of those things. We bet and we get raised. I think we open ourselves up being raised and then being put to a hard decision, because since we didn't show anything, I think this could be a good spot where if I had a lone heart, I could check raise it and really put pressure on myself. Maybe I bet the straight, maybe I bet the sets. 2 pair, over pair now. Maybe the top pair. You'd have the nut. I'd have the nut flush draw, second nut draw. But I don't think I'd have any of these straight draws. I just misplayed this hand. Maybe I have that. I bet 2/3 and he calls. So his call think we're gonna give him middle pair too. We're gonna do nut, second nut, no third nut. We'll give him that. So you can see big difference now. We should have been betting. We should have been betting 100%. 9 connects. I think we got bailed out personally. Villain checks at this point. We're betting our quads and full houses. I don't think we bet straights or anything. I don't think, you know, busted flushes don't draw. I think we just, or don't call. We just go for it. We've got top pair. That's showdown. We don't really have any bluffs in our range. Just, what's he gonna do? He checks. So I do think he's probably gonna check. We already bet. He might go for a check. Maybe slow play. I don't think. Yeah, you could have some bets for the straight flush in the full house. They could lead it. Could also check call, but I do think he's check calling flushes, straights, 3 of a kinds. Top pair probably check calls too, depending on how much. I mean, if we don't just bomb the pot, I think he calls. So bet half pot, he probably calls with a jack. I should be betting. That's probably okay. That sizing, and he calls. He didn't raise, so I'm getting rid of the straight flush full house. Probably the nut flush too. So we're looking at, I think, something like this. He shows ace jack, which is that top pair. We missed a lot of value. I really do think we missed a lot of value. We bet, I'm going to go back to the flop. We bet half pot. We bet 3/4 pot or 2/3 pot. He calls. And there's even a possibility that he check raises us at this point because he's got top pair, top kicker. So we've got, let's say 4, because that's what we bet. Yeah, 4.8. So the pot 16 on the turn. He checks us. I do think we bet again with our trips. So now at this point we're betting probably half pot. So 8. And I do think we're going to probably have to call if we get raised. So he calls 16. So now we're at 32. And then we get to the river and I connect. And with the 32 big blind pot, we bet, you know, what's 32? That's here 16. 16's half. Maybe 20, 21. And I think he calls. So we get an extra like 21, 22 big blinds from a different line if we take it, if we were being aggressive. So this was just, I think, just poorly played on my part. But I won the hand. Just not happy with how I played this. Not sure why I played it, other than maybe I was being tricky. I think there are times to slow play trips. I don't think this is one of them because I think Villain has a lot of hands. He's got almost 50% of hands that he could probably call with. I think we go for value with 8s, and the 8s help protect all of the other hands that we're bluffing. So all of the straight draws and all the flush draws that we have in our range. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. Hopefully you're learning from some of my mistakes too. If you like this hand, look tomorrow for another one.